The metal walls of the colony ship Endurance hummed with quiet power as it moved through the darkness of space. Dr. Kim Soo-jin pressed her face against the cold window and stared at the blue-green planet growing larger ahead of them. After 3 long years traveling from Earth, they had finally reached their new home. "Dr. Kim, you need to see this," called Lee Tae-ho from across the bridge. His voice sounded worried. Kim Soo-jin walked over to where Lee stood looking at his computer screen. The numbers and pictures on the screen made her heart sink. "What am I looking at?" "Energy readings from the planet," Lee said, pointing at the bright spots on his scan. "There are massive power sources all over the surface. And look at this." He switched to another view that showed the planet from above. Huge cities covered the land like silver webs. Tall buildings reached up toward the sky. Ships moved between the cities like tiny dots. "Someone already lives there," Kim Soo-jin whispered. Captain Park Min-ho joined them. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had led their group of 8,000 people through the long journey from Earth. "How many of them are there?" Lee checked his numbers again. "Millions, maybe billions. Their technology is far ahead of ours. They have weapons that could destroy our ship before we even land." Park Min-ho sat down heavily in his chair. "We left Earth because it was dying. The air was poison. The water was gone. The last cities were falling apart. This planet was supposed to be empty. It was supposed to be our second chance." Kim Soo-jin studied the scans more carefully. She was an expert in old things buried in the ground. Before Earth died, she had spent her life digging up the past. Now she looked at something that might be their future. "Wait. Look at these readings from deep underground." She pointed to strange patterns far below the planet's surface. "There are huge empty spaces down there. Natural caves. Some of them are bigger than cities. And these mineral readings." She paused, thinking. "I've never seen anything like this before." "What are you thinking?" Park asked. "We can't fight them," Kim Soo-jin said. 8,000 humans against a galactic empire. We would lose in minutes. But we don't have to fight them now. She turned to face the captain and the other officers who had gathered around. "We go underground. We use the experimental sleep chambers that were meant for the longest space journeys. We wait." "Wait for what?" asked Dr. Yoon Da-hee, the ship's engineer. "Wait until they leave? That could be forever." "Wait until the right time," Kim Soo-jin said. "Look at their civilization. It's too big, too spread out. Empires like this always fall apart eventually. When they do, we'll be ready." The next few weeks were the hardest of their lives. They landed the Endurance at night in a deep valley, far from the alien cities. Working quickly and quietly, they moved everything they could carry into the natural caves Kim Soo-jin had found. The sleep chambers, the computers, the weapons, the seeds and genetic samples that would help them rebuild humanity someday. The caves were deeper than they had expected. Some went down for miles into the planet's core. The walls glowed with strange crystals that gave off a soft blue light. The air tasted different here, full of minerals they had never seen before. "These crystals," Yoon Da-hee said as she studied them. "They're giving off some kind of energy, low-level radiation but not harmful. It might even be helpful." 3 months after landing, the last human walked into the deepest cave. They had built a hidden city underground, with the sleep chambers arranged in long rows like a metal forest. Computers would watch over them while they slept. Machines would keep them alive for as long as needed. Kim Soo-jin was the last to enter her sleep chamber. She stood in the main cavern, looking at the 3,000 chambers that held what remained of humanity. Many people had not made it through the long journey from Earth. Others had chosen to stay awake and live out their natural lives on this alien world, becoming the guardians of the sleeping. She walked to her own chamber and placed her hand on the cold metal surface. Inside, it looked like a bed surrounded by tubes and wires and glowing screens. It would keep her body alive while her mind dreamed of better days. Before she climbed inside, Kim Soo-jin made one final recording on her computer. "This is Dr. Kim Soo-jin, final log entry. Today, humanity goes to sleep. We are not dead. We are not giving up. We are waiting. Someday the galaxy will need us. Someday there will be others who need help against those who take what is not theirs. When that day comes, we will wake up. We will be ready. We will fight. This is not the end of humanity. This is just the beginning of our longest night. She climbed into the chamber and closed her eyes as the machines began their work. Around her the cave fell silent except for the quiet hum of the life support systems. Deep underground, humanity began its long sleep, waiting for the day they would rise again. The first thing Kim Soo-jin felt was cold. Then came the bright lights flashing in her eyes and the sound of machines beeping all around her. Her body felt strange, like it belonged to someone else. She tried to move her fingers and was surprised when they responded faster than she expected. The lid of her sleep chamber opened with a soft hiss. Kim Soo-jin sat up slowly, her head spinning. The cave around her looked the same as it had 300 years ago, but something felt different. The air tasted sharper. The blue glow from the crystal walls seemed brighter. "Dr. Kim, are you awake?" A voice called from across the chamber. Kim Soo-jin turned to see a young woman walking toward her. It took her a moment to recognize Yoon Da-hee, but she looked exactly the same as she had when they went to sleep. "Da-hee, how long were we out?" Kim Soo-jin asked, climbing out of her chamber. Her legs felt strong, stronger than they had ever been before. 312 years, Yoon Da-hee said. "The automatic systems woke us up when the ground started shaking. There's been a lot of earthquake activity up on the surface." Kim Soo-jin looked around the cave. Many of the sleep chambers were open now and people were moving around checking on each other. But too many chambers remained closed, their lights dark. "How many of us made it?" "About 3,000, Yoon Da-hee said quietly. "We lost a lot of people during the long sleep, but the ones who survived..." She paused. "We're different now." Kim Soo-jin knew what she meant. She could feel it in her own body. Her muscles were stronger. Her mind felt clearer and faster. When she looked at the crystal walls, she could almost see the energy flowing through them. The minerals in these caves. They changed us while we slept. "Come see this," Yoon Da-hee said, leading her to a bank of computers that had been monitoring the surface world. "You're not going to believe what's happening up there." The screen showed images from all over the galaxy. Cities burning. Spaceships fighting in the darkness between stars. Millions of different alien creatures rising up against their rulers. The great empire that had taken their planet was falling apart. "It's chaos," Yoon Da-hee explained. "The empire got too big, too cruel. The people they conquered are fighting back, but they're not working together. Each world, each species is fighting alone. The empire is weak, but it's still strong enough to beat them one at a time." Kim Soo-jin studied the images. She saw bird-like creatures with golden feathers fighting in the ruins of their cities. She saw large gray beings with 4 arms trying to defend their underwater homes. She saw small furry animals running through forests while enemy ships burned the trees around them. "They need help," she said. "That's what I thought too," Yoon Da-hee said. "But we're only 3,000 people. What can we do against an empire that controls half the galaxy?" Kim Soo-jin walked to the cave entrance and looked up at the shaft that led to the surface. For the first time in 300 years, she could see real sunlight coming down from above. "We do what humans do best. We survive. We adapt. We help others who can't help themselves." Over the next few days, more people woke up from their long sleep. Lee Tae-ho was among them, along with Captain Park Min-ho and dozens of others. They gathered in the main cavern to plan their next move. "Our technology kept advancing while we slept," reported Choi Han-sol, one of the engineers. "The computer systems have been learning and building new things. We have weapons and tools that didn't exist when we went to sleep." Kim Soo-jin looked at the new equipment. The weapons were smaller but more powerful. The computers could think almost like humans. There were suits that could make a person invisible and ships that could fly without making any sound. "We need to learn about the world above," she said. "We need to find out who is fighting and who needs help. But we have to be careful. If the Empire finds out we're here, they'll destroy us." That night, Kim Soo-jin put on one of the new stealth suits and went to the surface for the first time in 3 centuries. The world above was different from what she remembered. The alien cities were larger but looked old and worn down. Many buildings were damaged from fighting. She moved through the shadows, listening to the alien voices and watching their daily lives. The Empire soldiers walked through the streets like they owned everything. The local people looked scared and hungry. Children hid when the soldiers came near. Kim Soo-jin returned to the caves with a plan forming in her mind. "We start small," she told the others. "We help the people who are already fighting. We show them they're not alone. We teach them to work together." "And if the Empire finds us?" Captain Park asked. Kim Soo-jin smiled, feeling the new strength in her body and the sharp clarity in her mind. "Then they'll learn that humanity doesn't give up. We've been buried for 300 years, but we're still here. We're still fighting. And now we're ready to fight for everyone who can't fight for themselves." The long sleep was over. The awakening had begun. The Hegemony Supply Depot sat in the middle of a flat desert, surrounded by tall metal walls and guard towers. Inside, weapons and food meant for the Empire's soldiers filled huge warehouses. The alien guards walked their routes like they had done every night for years, never expecting trouble in such a remote place. Kim Soo-jin crouched behind a sand dune with 5 other humans, all wearing the new stealth suits that made them nearly invisible. She watched the guards through her enhanced vision, counting their numbers and timing their movements. "Remember," she whispered to her team, "we take what we need and leave. No killing unless we have to. We want them confused, not angry." Lee Tae-ho nodded from beside her. "The sleep gas canisters are ready. They'll wake up in a few hours with headaches and no memory of what happened." At midnight, the humans moved like ghosts across the desert. The stealth suits bent light around them, making them look like heat waves in the air. They scaled the walls without making a sound and landed inside the compound soft as falling leaves. The first guard never saw them coming. A small dart hit his neck and he crumpled to the ground, fast asleep. One by one, the other guards fell the same way. In 20 minutes, the entire base was silent, except for the gentle snoring of unconscious soldiers. "Look at all this," whispered Yoon Da-hee as they entered the main warehouse. Rows of energy weapons stretched out before them. Boxes of medical supplies and communication equipment filled the shelves. "There's enough here to supply a small army." They worked quickly, taking only what they could carry: advanced weapons, medical supplies, and most importantly, computer data chips that contained information about hegemony troop movements and base locations. As dawn approached, the humans vanished back into the desert, leaving behind only sleeping guards and empty weapon racks. When the soldiers finally woke up, they found notes written in their own language. "The weapons you stole from innocent people have been returned to those who need them. Sleep well." Word of the mysterious raid spread quickly through hegemony. Command centers. Within days, supply convoys began disappearing. Communication towers went silent. Guard posts woke up to find their weapons gone and their computers wiped clean. Commander Keth of the Valen Resistance couldn't believe the reports coming from his scouts. The Valens were tall, blue-skinned people with 4 arms who had been fighting the hegemony for 30 years. They had been losing badly until recently. "Someone is helping us," reported his lieutenant. "Whoever they are, they've destroyed more hegemony targets in 2 months than we managed in the last 5 years. Keth studied the map of recent attacks. They formed a pattern around the areas where Valen rebels were fighting. "They're not just attacking randomly. They're helping us specifically. But who would do that?" The answer came a week later when Keth received a message on a secure communication channel he'd never seen before. The voice was female and spoke in perfect Valan language, though with a strange accent. "Commander Keth, my name is Kim Soo-jin. My people would like to meet with you. We have a common enemy." The meeting took place in an abandoned mining facility deep underground. Keth arrived with his best fighters, expecting a trap. Instead, he found a small group of creatures he had never seen before. They looked similar to the Valens, but smaller, with only 2 arms and strange pale skin. "You're the ones who have been attacking the hegemony," Keth said, studying Kim Soo-jin carefully. "We're the ones who have been helping the people fight back," Kim Soo-jin corrected. "The hegemony took our world 300 years ago, We've been waiting for the right time to act. 300 years? Keth's four eyes widened. That's impossible. You look young. Kim Soo-jin smiled. We're full of surprises. The question is, do you want to keep fighting alone and losing? Or do you want to work together and win? Over the next several hours, Kim Soo-jin explained her plan. The various species fighting the hegemony were strong individually, but they had been conquered because they fought separately. The hegemony's greatest strength was keeping their enemies divided. You help us contact the other resistance groups, Kim Soo-jin said. We share our technology and tactics. Together, we can do what none of us can do alone. Keth was suspicious at first. Why should we trust you? We don't even know what species you are. We're human, Kim Soo-jin said simply. And we know what it's like to lose everything. We know what it's like to face extinction. That's why we understand what you're going through. The first joint operation took place 2 weeks later. Humans and Valens worked together to attack a hegemony prison ship carrying political prisoners from 6 different worlds. The humans used their stealth technology to board the ship while the Valens provided heavy firepower from their own vessels. The battle was fierce but brief. The hegemony soldiers had never faced an enemy that could appear and disappear at will, supported by warriors who fought with the fury of the desperate. Within an hour, over 1,000 prisoners were free, and the prison ship was drifting dead in space. As the rescued prisoners transferred to Valan ships, Commander Keth found Kim Soo-jin watching from the bridge. The hegemony will respond to this, he warned. They'll send everything they have. Kim Soo-jin nodded, her eyes hard as steel. Let them come. It's time the galaxy knew that humanity is awake. And when humans fight, we don't fight just for ourselves. We fight for everyone who can't fight for themselves. The underground war had become something bigger. Soon, it would become a revolution. The asteroid base floated in the darkness between 2 dead planets, hidden from hegemony patrols by fields of space debris. What had once been a simple mining station was now bustling with activity, as beings from dozens of different worlds worked, side by side for the first time in centuries. Kim Soo-jin walked through the main corridor, watching the incredible sight around her. Tall blue Valens with 4 arms worked next to small furry Kethans who barely reached their knees. Crystal beings called Nixari that looked like walking diamonds shared workbenches with gas-breathing Vorthak, who wore special suits to survive in the station's atmosphere. I never thought I'd see anything like this, said Commander Keth as he joined her. The Valan warrior had become her closest ally over the past months. 30 species that have been enemies for generations, all working together. Kim Soo-jin stopped at an observation window that looked out into the construction bay. Human engineers were working with Nixari crystal shapers to build new types of weapons. The Nixari could grow technology like plants, while humans understood how to make machines think and adapt. It's working because we all have the same enemy, Kim Soo-jin said. And because humans know how to listen. The breakthrough had come when the humans realized that each species had been fighting the hegemony in their own way, using their own strengths. The bird-like Syrians were masters of flying and could pilot ships better than anyone. The underground dwelling. Morlans knew how to move through tunnels and hidden spaces. The ocean people called depths could attack from underwater where no one expected them. Your people have a gift, said Elder Thrym, the Nixari representative. The crystal being's voice sounded like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. You see connections where others see only differences. You understand that strength comes from many working as one. Kim Soo-jin had learned that the Nixari were among the oldest species in the galaxy. They remembered a time before the hegemony, when different worlds traded and shared knowledge freely. We learned it the hard way, she told the elder. On our home world, we almost destroyed ourselves because we couldn't work together. We won't make that mistake again. In the weapons lab, Choi Hunsol was showing a group of mixed-species engineers the latest human innovation. It was a small device that could be attached to any weapon to make it more effective against hegemony shields. The beauty of it, Hunsol explained through a universal translator, is that it adapts. Nixari crystal technology learns and grows. Valan energy systems provide the power. Human programming makes it smart enough to figure out what the enemy is doing and respond. A young, Syrian pilot named Kowesh fluttered her golden feathers excitedly. With these modifications, our fighters could actually penetrate their battlecruiser defenses. The news wasn't all good. Reports came in daily of hegemony retaliation against civilian populations. Supreme Chancellor Vorth had declared martial law across 20 systems and was executing anyone suspected of helping the resistance. "He's getting desperate," Lee Tae-ho reported during the daily briefing. "Our intelligence shows he's recalling military units from the outer territories to protect the core worlds." Kim Soo-jin studied the tactical displays. Red markers showed hegemony strongholds, while blue dots represented resistance cells that had joined their alliance. The map was changing every day as more species chose to fight back. "That gives us an opportunity," she said. "If he's pulling back his forces, we can liberate the outer worlds and use them as bases for the final push." But liberation wasn't just about military victory. In the rescued territories, humans worked with local populations to rebuild their societies. They shared advanced medical technology, helped restore damaged ecosystems, and most importantly, taught different species how to work together instead of competing. On the water world of Aquan, human engineers helped the depths people build floating cities where land-dwelling refugees could live safely. On the forest planet Greenhold, they showed the tree-dwelling natives how to hide their villages from orbital scans while still maintaining their traditional way of life. "This is what the hegemony fears most," Kim Soo-jin told her staff during a planning meeting. "Not our weapons or our ships, but our ability to unite their victims against them." The alliance was growing stronger every day, but so was the enemy's response. Intercepted communications showed that Chancellor Vorth was planning something called Operation Final Dawn, a massive military campaign designed to crush the rebellion once and for all. "He's gathering everything he has," warned Commander Keth. "Every ship, every soldier, every weapon in the hegemony arsenal. When he strikes, it won't be at one target. It will be everywhere at once." Kim Soo-jin looked around the room at the faces of beings from 30 different worlds. Warriors, scientists, engineers, and leaders who had chosen to risk everything for freedom. 300 years ago, humanity had gone underground to avoid extinction. Now they had emerged to prevent the extinction of countless others. "Then we'll be ready for him," she said quietly. "We've spent months building this alliance. Now it's time to test it. Send word to every resistance cell, every liberated world, every being who dreams of freedom. The final battle is coming." Yoon Da-hee looked up from her technical displays. "Are we really ready for this? The hegemony still has more ships and soldiers than we do." Kim Soo-jin smiled, thinking of all the species that had joined their cause, each bringing their own unique strengths to the fight. "We have something they don't have. We have hope. And we have each other." The forging was complete. Now came the test. The war began at dawn across 50 star systems simultaneously. Kim Soo-jin stood on the bridge of the flagship Unity, watching, as thousands of ships from dozens of different worlds moved into battle formation. She had never imagined seeing anything so beautiful or terrifying. "All units report ready," announced Lee Tae-ho from the communication station. His voice was calm, but Kim Soo-jin could see the tension in his shoulders. This was the moment they had all been preparing for. The hegemony fleet appeared like a dark cloud against the stars. Chancellor Vorth had gathered every warship in his empire for this final battle. Their ships were larger and more heavily armed, but the Alliance fleet had something the enemy lacked: perfect coordination between species that understood each other's strengths. "Remember the plan?" Kim Soo-jin spoke into her communicator, addressing commanders across the fleet. "Syrians, take the high positions and strike fast. Valens provide heavy firepower. Nixari ships adapt to enemy tactics. Humans coordinate everything. We fight as one." The first exchange of fire lit up space like deadly fireworks. Hegemony battlecruisers launched waves of missiles, while Alliance fighters darted between them like angry insects, too small and fast to hit easily. Commander Keith's voice crackled over the radio from his Valen battleship. "Their shields are stronger than we expected. The new weapons are working, but it's going to take time." Kim Soo-jin watched the tactical display as the battle spread across multiple planets and moons. This wasn't just a space battle, it was a fight for the future of the galaxy. On the ground, resistance fighters were attacking hegemony bases while civilians tried to reach safety. "Ma'am," called Yoon Da-hee from the sensor station. "I'm picking up something big coming from the direction of the hegemony capital. It's massive. On the main screen they could see it approaching. A fortress ship larger than most space stations, bristling with weapons and surrounded by an escort of heavy cruisers. Chancellor Vorth's personal command vessel, the Iron Crown. He's coming, to finish this himself," Kim Soo-jin said. She felt a cold determination settle in her chest. "All ships, this is Commander Kim. The enemy leader is here. If we can take him down, the war is over." But Vorth had other plans. As his ship approached, it began broadcasting on all frequencies. His voice filled the communication channels of both fleets. "Surrender now, and I will show mercy to your civilians," Vorth announced. "Continue this hopeless fight, and I will burn every world that has helped you. The choice is yours." Kim Soo-jin looked around the bridge at her human crew, then at the alien faces on the communication screens. Beings from worlds she had never seen before the war began, now fighting and dying for each other's freedom. "This is Commander Kim Soo-jin of the Free Worlds Alliance," she broadcast back. 300 years ago, my people faced extinction. We survived by never giving up hope. Today, we fight not just for ourselves, but for every being who dreams of freedom. We will never surrender." The final phase of the battle began as both commanders pushed their fleets toward each other. The Unity led a strike force directly at the Iron Crown, while the rest of the Alliance fleet kept the hegemony escorts busy. As they closed the distance, Kim Soo-jin realized that this would come down to more than just ship-to-ship combat. "Prepare boarding pods," she ordered. "If we can't destroy his ship, we'll take it." The boarding operation was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Humans in stealth suits, Valan warriors with their four-armed fighting style, crystal Nexari that could phase through walls, and dozens of other species working together in perfect harmony. Kim Soo-jin led the assault team through the corridors of the Iron Crown. The ship was enormous, filled with automated defenses and elite hegemony soldiers. But the Alliance fighters had trained together for months, learning to use each other's abilities to overcome any obstacle. They fought their way to the command center, where Chancellor Vorth waited with his personal guard. He was larger than Kim Soo-jin had expected, with dark armor that made him look like a machine more than a living being. "So," Vorth said as his guards fell around him, "the famous human leader, you've caused me considerable trouble." "We've caused you something better than trouble," Kim Soo-jin replied, raising her weapon. "We've shown the galaxy that your empire can fall." The fight was brief but intense. Vorth was strong and experienced, but Kim Soo-jin had been enhanced by 3 centuries of sleep in the crystal caves. More importantly, she wasn't fighting alone. Commander Keth and the others fought beside her, just as species across the galaxy were fighting together for the first time in generations. When it was over, Chancellor Vorth lay defeated on the deck of his own flagship. Across the galaxy, hegemony forces began to surrender as word spread that their leader was gone. Years later, Ambassador Kim Soo-jin stood in the council chambers of the new Galactic Alliance. Through the great windows, she could see ships from hundreds of different worlds docking at the station. Children who had been born in slavery were now free to explore the stars. The war was over, the galaxy was free, and humanity had found its place among the stars, not as conquerors but as the species that brought hope when all seemed lost. The long sleep was truly over. The galaxy was finally awake.